Okay, this is the first chapter, okay, for us, right, to talk. Now come with me, right? So here, content, warm-up question, you already done. Key discussion question, lesson contents, okay, and we have what it has, acronym for teaching and teacher, approaches to language teaching, current issue in classroom testing, and Q&A, right? Okay, next slide, warm-up question already done as well, and key discussion as well. And now we move to our content, right? So what it tests? Test, in a simple term, is a method of measuring a person's ability, knowledge, or performance in a given domain. A test is first a method which is an instrument, a set of test techniques, procedure, or items that requires performance on the part of the test taker, right? So test, when you give test, always have or is accompanied with a clear decision. Why do you give student a test? Okay, why do you give student a test? In fact, you want to measure the student ability or the student content knowledge or the student skill. Okay, after your lesson or after your semester or your terms. Okay, so here in short is a method of measuring a person's ability or knowledge or performance in a given domain. Domain here that means skill. So what skill that you want to test after your lesson, such as if you are teaching a language skill, so you want to test speaking. And then you set up the context for the student to practice speaking with your specific or your well-organized criteria. How can to pass them or how can to fail them, okay, according to their performance, right? So domain here. If you are testing grammar, so grammar is a domain. You want to test tenses, okay? So how much the student aware of tense, okay? And then, and also a test is a first method, which is an instrument. Your instrument is a tool. A tool here, I mean a set of technique, okay, that you need the student to do this, to do that, based on your preparation or procedure or items require performance on part of the test taker. So sometimes you do not give the test paper, but you also them to do the role play, okay, in order to reflect the lesson that they have learned, right? And then you evaluate or you assess, okay, how much they have understood from your lesson, right? Okay, so now next one. Secondly, a test must measure, some tests measure general abilities, while others focus on very specific competency or objectives. Objective of what? Of the lesson that you have taught them, right? For example, placement test and proficiency test. So what the difference between placement test and proficiency test? So placement test is a test that you want to place the student in the right levels based on their real result, right? So that what we call placement test. And proficiency test is a test that you use in order to test the student general ability. Proficiency test is a kind of test that you use to test the student in general, especially the general ability. Okay. For example, if you are testing skill, so there are two skills that you need to test, and in each skill consists of sub-type skill, right? Such as speaking, reading, listening, and writing, okay? So overall, you get the result, okay, from the student, right? Okay, that is a proficiency test. And then you categorize, okay, how much they understood about some grammar skill, how much they understand about vocabulary skill, how much they can do with the speaking skill, how much they can do in writing skill, right? So that is a proficiency test. And next one, certainly, a test measure individual abilities, knowledge, or performance. What the tester consider before designing, such as followings. Okay, the first one, understanding who the test taker are. The second one, how about their previous experiences and backgrounds. The third one, the tests are appropriately matched to their abilities. And number four, how the test taker should interpret their scores. So from first, second, and third refer to what is test, right? Okay. Before you design the test, you need to consider about who the test taker are. Your student, the learners, okay? And the second one, you can consider about their previous experience, what they have learned before, and also their content knowledge that we call background. Okay. And next one, the tests are probably made to their ability. So when you design the test to test your student, you need to consider their real ability. Do not test in the higher level and the student just only in the moderate level or middle level. Okay, so you need to consider. And number 4, how the test taker should interpret their score. So after you collect the result, the outcome of the student test, how can you interpret their score? In grade A, you put from mark to marks that you consider as grade A, grade B, grade C, and grade D, right? Okay, so you need to set already before you design the test as well, right? And next one, briefly, okay, also the test as well. A well-constructed test is an instrument that provides an accurate measure of the test taker's abilities within a particular domain. Domain here, that means the skill that you want to test the student, right? The definition sounds fairly simple, but in fact, constructing a good test is a complex task involving both science and art, okay? So when we are talking about the good test, so good test is easy to talk or to say, but difficult for the teacher to design because we need to consider about the science that means really specific, and also art flexible, talk about the terms or admin that you need to organize. A science here refer to based on the Bloom taxonomy. So what order thinking skill that you need to test your student, right? Because in Bloom taxonomy, there are 2 levels of thinking skills, such as lower order thinking, from remembering to practice or applying, and the higher level, higher order thinking skill, analyze, evaluate, and create. So there is a science really specific, and you need to consider first before you design the test. So when you follow what I mentioned that we call a table of specification, you need to consider the content that you already taught, and also about the skill, level of thinking skill. Okay, in Bloom taxonomy, you have to consider, and then they match together based on your student, based on your lesson objective that the student already taught by you. Okay, do not teach lesson A and then you test lesson B, so it's not a science. And when we talk about the test, can I say it depends on the teacher flexibility. So when is appropriate for the student to do, how to sit, sometimes we need to consider about the student feeling, and especially relevant to well-organized admin, okay, right? So in short, that is easy to say or to talk, but most teachers might not be clear to set up the good test for the student if they don't understand about Bloom taxonomy, if they don't match the learning objective of the lesson, if they don't understand how to construct the level of difficulty and the level of easiness. Okay, so all of these are the components that a test designer need to consider before they produce a test for the student, especially in the classroom, right? So here are the acronym for teacher and teaching, right? Come with me now. Okay, so teacher can be, T stand for terrific or talented. That means wonderful and talented. Not only your skill or knowledge, but also your flexibility, your talent. Okay, and the second one, teacher must be energetic. That means powerful. That means healthy. That means enthusiastic as well. and excellent. And A stand for able. You able to do this, you able to do that. And adorable should be respected by your student, right? And letter C stand for cheerful. That means happy. You need to show your happy face. Do not bring your private thing and then you come in the class, you show your private thing or to talk your private story to the student. That is not good or not professional, right? And also charming, right? Yes, smiling face, okay? And welcoming speech, right? And letter H stand for hardworking. So the teacher need to be hardworking. You need to work hard. You need to do further research. You need to read more than the student do, okay? And also humble. Do not show off. Do not feel superior. You need to humble, right? Okay, humble mới tha chế tiếp luôn đấy. And letter E, enthusiastic. You feel cheerful, you feel happy, you feel pleasant, okay? When you come in the class, and encouraging. Okay, also as a good characteristic of being a teacher. Last but not least, letter O stand for remarkable or responsible, right? So the teacher need to be responsible for your teaching. Do not put the mistake on the students when they are in the lower achievement or they fail, right? That is a big part of the teacher because you are a leader and also a manager in the classroom, right? So that's why you need to be responsible for everything, even the student as well in the classroom, right? Okay, remarkable. So remarkable here, that means the teacher should be remarked by the other people or the student, right? Okay, so that's it, okay, from the teacher. And one more thing for teaching. So teaching stands for what? So T stands for transform. So what you have known, so how can you transfer your knowledge to the student? How can you explain the student to understand what you want them to? And also, what are the techniques or activity that you can transfer? Not the same thing, not the same method, right? That is a transform. And E, that means educate, not only the content knowledge or the skill that you want the student to learn, but also morality, the way to live, social skill. Okay, you need to educate them to be good citizen for the society or for the good person in the family and also the community. And A stands for activate. So the teacher need to activate the student to be active in cooperative work, okay, or group work, or in pairs. That means the student are made by the teacher to do any activity in the class, right? You made the student active, that means activate. And see the cooperate. So student and teacher need to be cooperated. If you do not have good cooperation, you cannot process your teaching. And the student cannot learn because you disagree, because you don't cooperate with each other. So that's why not only cooperate with the student, but also cooperate with your colleague. People who have the same job or the career as you, right? And letter H, be working, okay, similar to teacher, right? So teacher need to be working, work hard, not lazy, right? How about inspire? Inspire, I inspire. You need to inspire new thing or new information, a new techniques, okay, in order to amuse student to feel happy to learn, right? And next one, network and network. So you need to have a network with other people who have the same skill, who have the same jobs, okay, in order to gain more consultation, advice, or knowledge and skill in order to improve yourself to prepare the qualified teaching. And letter G, globalize. So not only the content knowledge or the skill that you are good at, but also you need to know more than these, such as politics, economics, marketing, or other information that are really important. That's it for teaching, right? And now, okay, move to the next one here as an approach to language teaching. So in approach to language teaching, I bring you 4 points to be here, right? The first one is discrete point testing. The second one, integrative testing. The third one, communicative language testing, LTA. And the last one, performance-based assessment. So now come with me one by one. The first one, that is discrete point tests, are constructed on the assumptions that language can be broken down into its component parts and that those parts can be tested successfully. These components are the skill of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and various units of language. We call discrete points of phonology, graphology, morphology, lexicon, syntax, and discuss. In short, discrete point tests are constructed on the assumption that the language can be broken point. That means you test specifically on specific points or specific components, such as so now can be listening, okay, or speaking, or reading and writing. So that's what we call discrete point, because you separate, okay, some specific skill one by one in order to test the student, right? Okay. Now you can see a one. Can you see?
Yeah.
Phonology as, okay, another terms of phonemics or some linguistic cover terms of both. Yeah, that is a sound, how to pronounce a word such as hi, okay, here, right, okay. How about graphology? Can you see? Is the analysis of the physical characteristic and pattern of handwritings with attempt to identify the writer, indicate the psychological state at the time of writing, and evaluate personality characteristic. Okay, so when we talk about the discrete point test, that means you test a specific skill. Okay, you test specific skill in different schedule or different times. Okay, right. So here in the past, especially in the 19th centuries, okay, the interviewer can test the interviewee by using the graphology analysis. They can analyze their handwriting and then match to the personality analysis, okay? And about morphology, the study of morphemes and their different forms, allomorph, and the way they combine in word formation, how to combine words together. For example, the English word unfriendly is formed from friend, the adjective forming suffixly, and the negative prefix "ant." So that is a morphology, right? Okay. And how about lexicons? Can be phrase or word, okay, word heart, word book, or word stock is a vocabulary of a person, language, or branch of knowledge. Okay, so this one a lexicon, right? That is a word or phrase, right? And syntax, a major components of the grammars and a language together with lexicon, phonology, semantic combined together as a sentence, right? So we call syntax. And how about discourse? Discourse, a general term, for example, a language use, a language which has been produced as the result of the act of communication. The speed that you use in your communication, we call discourse, okay? Right. Here, really definition of a discrete point test. A language test that measures knowledge of individual language items, such as a grammar test with different sections on tenses, adverbs, and preposition, right? So discrete point tests are based on the theory of language consists of different parts, such as grammar, you test a grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary, or different skills such as listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And these are made up of elements that can be tested separately, okay? This is a main thing. So we test the student skill separately, right? Do not combine together, right? Okay. That consists of multiple choice items are usually discrete point tests. Discrete point tests can be contracted with integrative tests. Okay, right. Okay, I will drop you after our lesson, right? Come back again. Can you see the slide here? This one, right? Okay, so now we move to the next one, not discrete point test again. And we move to integrative tests. Integrative test is one that requires a test taker, that means the student or the learner who is taking the test, to use several language skills at the same time, such as a dictation test, which require the learner to use knowledge of grammar, vocabulary, and listening comprehension. So that is an integrative test. That means you give one test, but combine a lot of skill here, right? At one time. It is really opposite to this discrete point test, right? Because discrete point test, I mean you tell the student different skills separately, not the same time, right? But integrative test, that means you integrate all the skills as one test at one time for the student to do, right? Such as a dictation test or writing test, that is an integrative skill because you combine a lot of skill in one kind of test, right? Okay, now move to ALT. Okay, continue. Approach to language testing. The third one here as a communicative language testing is one which requires the student to complete an authentic task. You know, authentic, that means a real context. Okay, we call authentic tasks. That means you let the student to practice in reality, such as role play. Okay, that is an authentic task. In other words, a test which is a realistic reflection of a learner experiences in the outside world. How can the student apply the skill or the knowledge that they learn from the class into the reality or the society, right? As a result, the test may include a reading task, a writing task, and a speaking task. This will mean it will be a test of both receptive skill and productive skill. So in receptive skill, there consists of two more skills such as listening and listening and reading, right? And productive skill, speaking and writing. Yes, both recognition of language and production of language. Okay. For example, your test is that deciding with a friend which movie to watch, and then you let them to role play. Okay, to do the role play. To people, okay, or to learner or to student, right? Okay, and then they talk together based on the task or the title of the task that you assign the student to do, right? Deciding with a friend which movie to watch. And the second example, ordering food at the restaurant. One learner as the customer and another one as a waiter or waitress. And then they converse, they communicate to each other in the role play, right? The next one, that is a giving suggestion to a friend who asks for advice. The next one, giving a PowerPoint presentation in a business meeting. Last but not least, the example from communicative language teaching, asking for information over the phone, right? Okay, so they need to do the role play as the reality, okay. Next, in language courses and programs around the world, the designers are now tackling this new and more student-centered agenda. You know, more student agenda? That means learning based on students, learning based on the student needs, okay? Not based on the teacher, but based on the student needs, okay? We call student-centered, not teacher-centered. The student need to be active, need to be cooperative, need to communicate, okay? Or in a communicative manner based on Alderson 2001 and 2002. Instead of just offering paper and pencil selective response tests of a plethora of separate items. PBA of language typically involves oral production, written production, or open-ended responses. Okay, so you look at this one, right? So sometimes you give the test to the student and then let the student respond as a selective. Can be paper and pencil. You can provide paper and the student write downs, okay, to set up what they have learned, okay, from you to produce good writing form or good response or the answer, okay, to the teacher question, right? Okay. And also PBA, you know PBA? What does it mean, PBA of language? Okay, that is a performance-based assessment, right? Okay, performance-based assessment. ការវាតម្លៃដែលផ្អែកទៅលើការធ្វើជាក់ស្ដែងណា បាទ performance-based assessment, right?
បាទ
Can you see? Okay. So typically involve oral production, written production, or open-ended responses, okay, right? So when we talk about the PBA of language, that means the student need to produce the oral production, can be speaking or can be writing. Normally oral production is a speaking skill, right? Okay. And also written production in writing skill. Open-ended responses, that means the student need to use higher order thinking skill in order to answer, because the question do not require one correct answer, but are the answer more than one, right? We call open-ended responses. Surely such assessment is time-consuming and therefore extensive, but those extra efforts are paying off in the form of more direct testing. You know direct testing? The test that you want the student to do directly. We call direct testing. You test vocab and then the student must do vocab, right? We call direct testing, right? You want the student to practice speaking, you test speaking, right? You want to assess the student grammar, you let the student write down or compose a sentence, right? So that is a direct testing, right? មានថាយើងចង់ធ្វើតេស្តទៅលើជំនាញអីយើងដាក់អាហ្នឹងទៅគេហៅថា direct testing, right? Okay. Because learners are assessed as they perform actual and stimulated real-world tasks or real-world tasks. Okay, you know real-world tasks, the tasks that link to the real context, real situation, right?
Yeah, the real problem of the world.
Okay, right. Okay, so now, right, please current. Okay, next one as a current issue in classroom testing, right? បញ្ហាថ្មីៗដែលកើតឡើងនៅក្នុងការដាក់តេស្តនៅក្នុងថ្នាក់រៀនដែរ in Khmer. New view, that means new opinions on intelligence. You know intelligence? ភាពវៃឆ្លាត of បញ្ញា right? Traditional and alternative assessment. ការវាយតម្លៃបែបពីមុនមកដែលគេធ្លាប់ធ្វើហើយនឹងមានជំរឿសច្រើន okay? And also computer-based testing. Okay. What is assessment? Before you reach the three terms here, right? You understand the three things here. You need to understand about the terms assessment, right? In Khmer, what does it mean assessment? A1.
អានប្រមាណវាតម្លៃអញ្ចឹង
Okay, ចឹងការវាតម្លៃ
So
yeah, so when we are learning about assessment, so assessment can use sometimes you can use another word as an evaluation, the same thing. Okay, ចឹងនៅពេលដែលយើងនិយាយពីការវាយតម្លៃ assessment ក៏យើងអាចនិយាយបាន evaluation ក៏បានដែរណា mean that they are interchangeable ពួកវាអាចផ្លាស់ប្ដូរគ្នាបានបាទណា Okay.
តែបើតាមដូចប្រើខុសគ្នាដូចគឺ ongoing មួយ evaluation of the end of the class.
The same thing, okay. នៅក្នុងមេរៀនវាយតម្លៃ the same thing ប្រើបានដូចគ្នា evaluate or access, okay. បាទ when they use in this context នៅពេលដែលយើងប្រើក្នុងបរិបទហ្នឹងចឹង evaluation ហើយនឹង assessment គឺ the same thing ណាអត់មានបកស្រាយផ្សេងទេកាលណាយើងនិយាយពីការវាយតម្លៃសិស្សណា Okay, not the same as testing. What does it mean not the same as testing? Because testing as a part of assessment. Understand? Testing
Yeah.
as a part of a session, so not the same as testing, right? Okay. Because assessment, you can be flexible to use it, okay? Sometimes your observation, also assessment, not the test, okay? Sometimes you ask question, sometimes you give homework, it's also kinds of assessment, right? But testing, sometimes directly, okay, directly that you test. Sometimes the paper that you prepare for the student to do, right? Okay. So that's why testing as a part of assessment. Second one, assessment as an ongoing process to ensure that the course or class objectives and goals are met. So the definition of assessment also ongoing process, not end process, but ongoing, right? Can be before the class, during the class, or at the end of the class, right? But here, ongoing process, I mean not completed, right? Because it is in process. Why? Because to ensure that the course or class objectives and goals are met based on your observation, based on your reflection, right? Okay. Assessment can also as a process, not a product. Okay, as a process. Because under your control, under your observation, under your preparation, right? Okay. And the last one, assessment as a test is a form of assessment. Okay, based on Brown 2004, page number 5. So as I already mentioned or explained you, test is a form of assessment, right? So assessment cover test or testing, right? Okay. Next one. Here you can see relationship between test, assessment, and teaching based on Brown. So teaching cover all, right? Okay. No teaching, no assessment, or no test. Okay. So teaching is the biggest one, and the second one as assessment. So after that, the smallest one as a test, right? Okay. You should be clear, right? No teaching. So how can you assess the student? How can you assess your lesson objectives? Okay.
Yes.
And if you do not have assessment, so it doesn't have a test as well, right? So it's related. Okay. So teaching, assessment, and test, right? Okay, now, okay, move to new views on intelligence. Okay. Intelligence was once viewed strictly as the ability to perform linguistic, language, and B, logical mathematical problem solving. You know, logical mathematical problems, how to calculate, okay? Yeah, especially based on maths, right? According to Garner, 1983-1999, he included 5 other frames of the mind in the theory of multiple intelligence. So look at together between the traditional view and 5 more views, okay? So that means before 21st century, from 20th century or 19th century, so some scholars have the traditional view based on intelligence. Okay, the first one. ចឹងនៅពេលដែលគេចង់តេស្តទៅលើភាពបញ្ញាចឹងការពីអតីតកាលគេយកតែពីរនេះទេគឺ linguistic intelligence, language skill, okay, speaking, listening, reading, and writing. The next one, logical mathematical intelligence, how to calculate, okay, refer to maths, okay. And we have 5 more views here. Can be spatial intelligence. Okay, spatial intelligence refer to intelligence relevant to how to evaluate, how to find out the relationship between two things together, right? Because spatial intelligence. មានន័យថាជាចំណេះដឹងឬក៏ជាបញ្ញានៅក្នុងការស្វែងរកនៅភាពទំនាក់ទំនងគ្នា. Okay. And the next one here as a musical intelligence. So the people with musical intelligence, that means they can learn very fast. They can understand very fast based on music, such as a musician, right? Yeah, musician. So they can learn about the music very easily. Okay. And the next one, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, based on practice. Touch on or doing something, they can learn very quickly, right? And next one here as interpersonal intelligence. Okay, refer to the people who have the intelligence of intercommunication. That means they communicate with the other peoples. They can learn from the other people very quickly. So when they are group, when they are assigned in teamwork or cooperative work, so they can learn very fast. That's why they have a interpersonal intelligence. They can learn from the other. And number 7, intrapersonal intelligence. People with these kinds of intelligence, they are very aware, or we can say can learn very quickly based on themselves. That means they are independent learners. So here are very details about each one, right? Okay, for the new view on intelligence, right? Here I can read for you. In linguistics, I mean enjoyment of and facility with reading, poetry, and all things, literacy and linguistic, I mean language skill, right? And logical or mathematical enjoyment of and facility with maths and science, game of strategy, educational games related to maths, and any other logic-based pursuit or laser activities. គាត់ប្រកែខាងគិតលេខខាងអីហ្នឹងគឺជា logical ឬក៏ mathematical ណាបាទ musical enjoyment of and facility with music listening playing and perhaps composing អញ្ចឹងអ្នកដែលប្រកែតែនិពន្ធចម្រៀងគាត់មានបញ្ញានៅក្នុងការចាប់បានទៅលើចង្វាក់ភ្លេងឬក៏តន្ត្រីណាបាទបាទ and number 4 special or visual that mean enjoyment of and any facility of image drawing construction games and tackle puzzle such as jigsaws អញ្ចឹងកន្លែងនេះបើយើងនិយាយពីតំណាក់តំណងពីរបស់មួយទៅរបស់មួយដែលយើងអាចវិនិច្ឆ័យហើយនឹងវាតម្លៃបានគឺនៅនឹងគាត់មានបញ្ញាទៅលើ spatial ឬក៏ visual អញ្ចឹងគាត់អាចដឹងថាគំនូរហ្នឹងគេទៅសេចាប់ពីដំណើរដល់ដំណើរហើយវាមានឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងទៅលើទស្សនវិជ្ជាអីខ្លះនៅក្នុងសង្គមគាត់អាចមើលទៅលើគំនូរនឹងបានហើយគាត់អាចវិតម្លៃទៅលើទឹកដៃនៃការសរសេរហ្នឹងណានៃការគូរវាសហ្នឹងណាបាទ drawing ឬក៏ construction game បាទអញ្ចឹងគាត់ក៏បកកែលេងយើងធ្លាប់ដឹងអារបៀបនៃការផ្គុំរូបភាពឲ្យទៅជាខ្ញុំក៏អត់ដឹងហៅទៅដែរបាទអញ្ចឹងតាក់ទង puzzle ហ្នឹងក៏ចូលចិត្ត puzzle ដែរដូចជា jigsaw ហ្នឹងណាបាទ and next one kinesthetic គឺផ្អែកទៅលើការប្រើដៃ touch ឬក៏ moment ការប្រើចលនាអញ្ចឹងគាត់ឆ្លាតគាត់វាងវៃខាងហ្នឹងបាទនៅពេលដែលគាត់ practice ដោយប្រើសកម្មភាពផ្សេងៗបាទ interpersonal មានន័យថាគាត់អាចរៀនបានច្រើនពីតំណែងតំណងពីការដឹកនាំបាទពីការចូលរួមជាមួយអ្នកដទៃណា interpersonal ហើយ intrapersonal គឺគាត់អាចរៀនដោយខ្លួនឯងដោយសារតែគាត់មាន motivation ខ្លួនឯងបាទហើយគាត់ជា independent learner អញ្ចឹងនៅពេលដែលគាត់អង្គុយរៀនតែម្នាក់ឯងគាត់ធ្វើការតែឯងគឺគាត់បានលទ្ធផលល្អជាងដែលគាត់ទៅធ្វើការជាក្រុមណាអាហ្នឹង interpersonal intelligence បាទ Okay here are the traditional assessment បាទអញ្ចឹងការវិនិច្ឆ័យតម្លៃពីមុនមកដែលគេនិយមធ្វើណាបាទគឺ multiple choice you know multiple choice one question with listing down 4 or 5 answer but only one is the correct answer right អញ្ចឹងមានសំណួរមួយអញ្ចឹងទៅហើយមានចម្លើយ 4 5 ឲ្យយើងរើសបាទអញ្ចឹងមានតែមួយគឺជាចម្លើយត្រូវ and true for easy right because two choice for you to choose you read the statement and then you check with true or false right okay matching you know matching you have two part A and part B part A as a question or key term part B as the answer or the definition, right? For example, and then you need to match together. Okay, be carefully and correctly. Right? Norm reference and criterion reference testing. Okay. ខ្ញុំសូមនិយាយឡើងវិញ3ដើម្បីឲ្យយើងងាយយល់ណាបាទទី1គឺ multiple choice បាទយើងធ្លាប់ធ្វើច្រើនហើយនៅក្នុង bachelor ហ្នឹងបាទហើយគឺយើងក៏ធ្លាប់ដាក់ឲ្យកូនសិស្សធ្វើដែរមានន័យថាមានសំណួរមួយហើយចម្លើយអាច4ឬក៏5បាទណាបាទ chẳng miễn đại chấm lói mũi thế đại trầm trớ hay chấm lói được tây tiết cứ chia chấm lói bồng phòn dương nè sầm đẹp true for lắm cứ dương an statement đại bẹp phòn làm sao miệng này dương ba điền hỏi nèต่อมาคือเอายังจะเซทักตาดังเปิดหรือก็เหมือนเปิดแบบเปิดต้องไม่ได้ทักคำสารนั่นแบบแปะปอนตัวหนึ่งเบเรียนปัญหาแบบเปิดวิไอคอกอะไรนะมวยจังนะแต่เป็นแมทชิ่งยังมีตำรงชรายังมีตำรงชราอาจีชมูเนี่ยมาหรือก็จีนยุ่งในมานะไอเมนคีเธอมาเอายังแมทชิ่งไอจังเตอจังเวียนเพียบสมบูรณ์แบบนะมวยติดยมส้มบุโยขมายติดแต่ตัวเลือนนอมแรฟนั้นให้หนึ่ง Criterion-referenced test ประเภทแต่นั่นคือสำคัญได้เนื้อเป็นยังประลองโจยังประลองตัวหารูปก้อได้เกี่ยกำนอดตัวเลยจำนวนตัวตามเกี่ยหาทากูตาได้เกี่ยบานกำนอดทัตตาเกี่ยถอยการจำนวนประมาณเนี่ยจังสมัยนอม reference test นั่นคือเกี่ยปลาการในเด็กยมันเลือกลางเหมือนจะตรง scholarship นั่นนะประลองโยกไอ้ดำใบเรียนบานหารูปก้อจังเกี่ยอัดก็ตัวเลยเป็นตุตีไอ้ตัวเลยกรรมวิธีศึกษาเต้เกี่ยอัดบานเวทำลายทราบจอบตัวหนึ่งการวินิจฉัยนั่นเต้คือเกี่ยปตาวตัวเลยจำนวนไหนเกี่ยกำนอดทัตตาประมาณไหนเกี่ยเตอร์โยมเรียนโดยกรรมวิธีศึกษาหนึ่งอุทธรณ์ทาเกี่ยหรือเกี่ยเรื่องการสำเนียงจังจำนวนเนี่ยโชว์รวมมาปอนเนี่ยจังเนื้อเพได้เกี่ยเพื่อแต่นอม reference หาจังคณะกรรมการในการวิจารณ์ในการกายประตูนั่นคือเมื่อกี่รอบประตูคู่ปีนามั้งแกหาแต่ท็อปสกอร์เราโหดมาดอทำการสำเนียงหนึ่งจังคือการโยทำการสำเนียงหนึ่งอันนั้นคือหาทางประเภทแต่นอม reference แต่ you understand จังตัวใบเฉลี่ยการมวยการปีนั่นประตูคู่ก็ได้ปัญหาเบอร์รอปีเล็กมวยมาดอการซับคือการทำปันนั่งไงโดยซาเกี่ยกับนอตเลอกูตาจำนวนกิโยประมาณเนี่ยจังแบบการสำเนียงรอประตูขบวนปีเลอมาดอการซับคือการโยอันนั้นคือหาทางประลองได้เกดำเรือแต่ตามจำนวนกับน็อตหรือก็ยังโยสกอร์สิบบาตัวนี้ตัวโก้แต่ตั้งถึงลงแต่ไม่ได้โก้นะแต่ด้วยธรรมดาได้แต่ธรรมดาได้แต่เจสตังได้ธรรมดาได้แต่เดี๋ยวเปะปอนตัวนั้นไม่เห็นธรรมดาแต่อดเมนแต่มาวีเลอกายเต้มวยเทียดไกลแรฟเฟนแทนนั่นคือแต่ได้ยังกับพงเรียนหน่อยง่ายโดยเฉพาะ midterm หรือก็final ได้ยังเฟิร์นนั่นคือจิตแต่มวยได้เกี่ยกับน็อตแต่เลยกรรมที่ศึกษาไอ้แต่เลยกรรมที่ศึกษาได้เกี่ยกับน็อตแต่ตามประตูแหละจอบอุทธรณ์ถ่ายเลยนั่งธนามาสเตอร์บอยเยอนั่งไฟนอลประตูมันจอบ60%ล่างเลยฮัลโหลบ้านลือโอ้ลือแต่บาทคือโย60%ล่างจังประสันบอยเยอเฟอร์ประตูกราวหนึ่ง5 6 5 7เมทายเยอแคลไอปีพรุ่งลาตพ่อเลยเยอะบานมาแล้วเยอะไอแต่เลยการวินิจฉัยระบบกรรมที่ศึกษาได้เกี่ยวกับน็อตไอเยอะนะข้อศึกษานั่นเกี่ยวกับน็อตไอเยอะค่ะมาซุ่มเพี้ยนในไอ้จอบทำมัน60จังบนในไอ้ของ60ในไอ้หนึ่งเลยอันนั้นคือเอาชิมูทากรายเรียน reference test ตัวนี้ตัวกูตัวนั้นโอเคจังอะไรยังกับเล็กเมื่อเลยบะดุบการประลองบะดุบมาซุ่มศึกษาตุติยะภูมินั้นถ้าตาวิจัยประเภทนอม reference test หรือก็เชื่อกรายเรียน reference test นักการเรียนแล้วกูเป็นตุโอเคกรายเรียนนะมาจังเอาแต่ประตูชอบเลย50 มวยล้านคือชอบเลยใส่ประวัติมันจังไงมาซุ่มเพี้ยนนะบ้าโอเคจังบางยังประลอง scholarship แต่เรียนในสกเกจังเกปรานอม reference test โดยจะยังแต่ประลองเรียนในไอฟอลจังเกกับน้องถึงการสำเนียงจังเนี่ยเธอแต่แผลมวยเนี่ยเกคว้าเลยประตูไหนชอบหรือคู่ก็ได้สำคัญเกรอปีมวยมาดอการสักเกการโยธนั่งไงอันนั้นก็หาแต่นอม reference test โอเคโยนเลยมาเนี่ยโยนแล้วกูโยนอะไรมวยเตียนยังจัง apply การเงี้ยจุกรูมเรียนจังยังเมื่อกลายเรียบโอเคเกี่ยวกับน็อตทาเลยในไอเทอร์เมนต์บัตรสอบเรียนปีชนามในไอเทอร์เมนต์ bachelor degree มาในไอเทอร์เจ็บพิษาองเล่มาให้นังโฮหายจังเมาส์จังการแต่เกี่ยวกับน็อตแบบนึงถ้าตาวิจีนอม reference test หรือก็จะกลายเรียน reference testอันนั้นเบอร์ตามเบอร์โต๊ะไปจอบแหลกขั้นตัวไหลกลายเรียนเลยกูบ้านใต้กว่าที่กับน็อตโคตรนกทางดิแท็กดิหมาเนี่ยจังไงกู ច្បាស់លាស់គឺជា Criterion referenced ទេហើយកាលណាយើងអត់មានស្តង់ដារគ្រប់សម្រាប់តម្រូវការរបស់កន្លែងការងារគេតាមលក្ខខណ្ឌដែលគេចែងមកហ្នឹងគឺយើងអត់ជាប់ទៅស្វ័យប្រវត្តិហ្មងឃើញទេនៅពេលដែលយើង apply CV ទៅមានន័យថាគេ dismiss ចោលហើយគេរើសអ្នកណាដែលសារភ្ជាប់ឬក៏ match ទៅលើអា criteria reference របស់គេហ្នឹងណាបាទអញ្ចឹងយល់ទេប៉ុណ្ណឹងយល់លោកគ្រូហ្នឹងហើយអូខេយល់ហើយOkay, now, right, so move to this one as in English, okay? So non-reference test, standardized test, okay? Standardized test, right? Can be calling board, okay? TOEFL or GRE, okay, right? That is a standardized test. That means all the candidates do on the same test, not different tests, okay? We call one standardized. And the test really well organized by an experts or a group of experts. Okay, so that one we call standardized test, right? They have pilot before they set as the real one, right? ចឹង standardized test ហ្នឹងមានន័យថាបង្កើតឡើងដោយមនុស្សជំនាញមួយក្រុមបាទដែលគេរៀបចំទៅលើ criteria របស់គេច្បាស់លាស់នៅក្នុង test មួយហ្នឹងដែលគេ assess ទៅលើជំនាញដែលគេចង់បានហ្នឹងហើយគេមាន pilot ទៅលើចំនួនសិស្សជាទូទៅចំនួនប្រមាណដែលគេសម្រិតសម្រាំងណាបាទមុននឹងគេបង្កើត test មួយឲ្យចេញទៅជាស្តង់ដារមួយទៀត test ស្តង់ដារហ្នឹងមានន័យថាអ្នកចូលរួមទាំងអស់ត្រូវធ្វើ test ដូចគ្នាទាំងអស់អត់មានមួយធ្វើ test A មួយ B មួយ C មួយ D អីទេអត់ទេ Okay one more thing okay place test takers on a mathematical continuum in rank order. You know, place test taker on a mathematical continuum in rank order. As I mentioned already, okay, if you want to test the student maths, and then you set as a limited numbers of students, do not based on their result, but based on the top one until the limited number that you wish to be, okay, that you want them, yes, right? Okay. Yep. Next one, to Criterion reference test. Give test taker feedback on specific objectives that we call criterion. ជាងកន្លែងនេះមានន័យថាយើងផ្ដល់ឲ្យអ្នកធ្វើ test ហ្នឹងដែលជាសិស្សរបស់យើងហ្នឹងនៅ feedback ក្រោយពីយើងបានលទ្ធផលដែលយើងវាយតម្លៃលទ្ធផលដែលគាត់បានមកនឹងវត្ថុបំណងជាក់លាក់តើយើងតេស្តហ្នឹងតេស្តផ្អែកទៅលើអីទៅលើខ្លឹមសារមេរៀនណាដែលយើងបានបរៀនហើយណាបាទហ្នឹង specific objective បាទយើងមាន objective ច្បាស់លាស់ឧទាហរណ៍ថាយើងប្រហាត់5មេរៀនអញ្ចឹងយើងដាក់តេស្តទៅដើម្បីឲ្យដឹងថាតើកូនសិស្សហ្នឹងគាត់អាចប្រឡងជាប់អត់បាទទៅលើវត្ថុបំណងនៃទាំង5មេរៀនដែលយើងរើសមកនេះយើងច្បិចយកទៅបាទថាតើយើងចង់តេស្តទៅលើខ្លឹមសារមេរៀនឬក៏ជំនាញអីខ្លះណាOkay, test objective of a course ឬក៏បញ្ចប់វគ្គសិក្សាហ្នឹងបាទតើវគ្គសិក្សាហ្នឹងចង់តេស្តពេលដែលចប់ហ្នឹងថាតើអ្នកដែលរៀបចំហ្នឹងគាត់តេស្តប្រមាណមេរៀនបាទនៅក្នុងមួយវគ្គសិក្សាឧទាហរណ៍10មេរៀនគាត់តេស្ត5មេរៀនហ្នឹងទៅដើម្បីធ្វើការវិតម្លៃទៅលើមធ្យមភាពធ្លាក់ជាប់ណា and known as instructional value ហើយការធ្វើតេស្តហ្នឹងដែរជាការឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងទៅលើការបង្រៀនបើសិនបើ student ធ្វើតេស្តជាប់ច្រើនលើពី 60% ឬក៏ 51% ឡើងទៅអញ្ចឹងអាចជាការឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងថាតើការបង្រៀនរបស់សិស្សក្នុងមួយខហ្នឹងបានលទ្ធផលប៉ុណ្ណាល្អប៉ុណ្ណាដែលសិស្សទទួលបានណាបាទអញ្ចឹងតើនេះឡើយហ្នឹងបាទប្រកបតហ្នឹងដោយសារវាបរិបទថ្មីអញ្ចឹងបាទខ្ញុំបញ្យល់ខ្មែរបន្ថែមណាបាទអូខេបាទ next one's authentic assessment. So as I mentioned, also think that mean reality, real context. Okay. ចឹងការវាតម្លៃដែលផ្អែកទៅលើការឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងជាក់ស្ដែងទៅលើបរិបទមួយជាក់ស្ដែងបាទ reflect student learning, achievement, motivation and attitude on instructionally relevant classroom activities based on O'Malley and Valdez 1996. អញ្ចឹងតកតងទៅលើការវាតម្លៃទៅលើ authentic នេះគឺគេឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងទៅលើកម្រិតនៃការរៀនរបស់សិស្សសមិទ្ធផលដែលគាត់ទទួលបានក្រោយពីបញ្ចប់ហ្នឹង អាចថ្លឹងថ្លែងទៅលើការលើកទឹកចិត្តរបស់គាត់និងអេរិយាបថរបស់គាត់ចំពោះវគ្គសិក្សាដែលយើងផ្ដល់ជូនតាមរយៈការធ្វើសកម្មភាពនៅក្នុងថ្នាក់រៀនណាបាទអាចផ្ដល់ទៅលើ role play ឬក៏ការដើរតួឬក៏សកម្មភាពផ្សេងៗហ្នឹងបាទដែលយើង link ទៅស្ថានភាពជាក់ស្ដែងដែលគាត់រស់នៅណាបាទហ្នឹង authentic assessment example like a performance assessment ឃើញទេបាទផ្អែកទៅលើសកម្មភាពដែលគាត់ធ្វើណា portfolios is a collection of document or task or project that you assign the student to do and then let them to collect all and turn in to you after the course finish okay បាទនេះគេហៅថា portfolio ណា self assessment you know self assessment ជាការឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងមួយទៅលើខ្លួនឯងទៅលើសិស្សហ្នឹងបាទថាតើកម្រិតនៃការយល់ដឹងមេរៀនដែលគាត់រៀនហើយនឹងគាត់យកទៅអនុវត្តឬក៏ role play ហ្នឹងវាសមស្របដែរទេវាមានការឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងឲ្យគ្នាទៅវិញទៅមកដែរទេណា self assessment ដែរ Okay so here are the purpose of assessment okay diagnose students strengths and needs ជាងក្រោយពីយើងដាក់ assessment ហើយយើងនឹងបានថ្លឹងថ្លែងពិនិត្យមើលទៅលើភាពខ្សោយភាពខ្លាំងរបស់សិស្ស provide feedback on student learning អញ្ចឹងយើងមានមតិត្រឡប់ផ្ដល់ទៅការរៀនរបស់សិស្សចំណុចខ្សោយកន្លែងណាចំណុចខ្លាំងកន្លែងណា provide a basis for instructional placement បាទអញ្ចឹងអាចផ្ដល់ជាមូលដ្ឋានសម្រាប់ការបង្រៀនលើក្រោយទៀតបាទ instructional placement ឬក៏អាចនិយាយថាបើយើងបរៀនបែបហ្នឹងវាអត់ទាន់ត្រូវទេអញ្ចឹងអាចយកអីមកជំនួសផ្សេងទៀតដើម្បីជួយបន្ថែមណា instructional placement inform and guide instruction បាទអាចផ្ដល់ប្រាប់យើងអំពីការបរៀនហ្នឹងហើយនឹងបង្ហាញមគ្គុទ្ទេសក៍ឬក៏ឲ្យយើងស្វែងរក technique ឬក៏សកម្មភាពផ្សេងទៀតណាដើម្បីជួយគាត់អត់ឲ្យប្រើដដែលទេ communicate learning expectation ផ្សារភ្ជាប់នៅការរំពឹងទុកនៅក្នុងការរៀនថាតើកូនសិស្សមុននឹងមករៀនហ្នឹងក្នុងវគ្គសិក្សាហ្នឹងគាត់រំពឹងថាចេះអីខ្លះបាទអញ្ចឹងយើងធ្វើតែទៅយើងនឹងដឹងហើយបាទយើងនឹងដឹងហើយគាត់ក៏នឹងដឹងដែរថាតើexpectation របស់គាត់ឈានដល់ប្រមាណ%កម្រិតណាណាបាទឧទាហរណ៍ថាយើងបង្ហាត់ language skill យើងបង្ហាត់ grammar អញ្ចឹង expectation នៅក្នុង course grammar សុទ្ធហ្នឹងយើងចង់ឲ្យសិស្សចេះអីខ្លះសម្រាប់10មេរៀនសម្រាប់course ហ្នឹងណាបាទចេះពី 10 ចេះពីការសរសេរចេះពីការវិភាគអីហោហាយអញ្ចឹងមកអញ្ចឹងថាតើនៅពេលដែលយើងដាក់ test ទៅយើងអាចដឹងថាតើគាត់ expectation នៃការរៀនក៏ដូចជាកម្មវិធីសិក្សាហ្នឹងគាត់បានទៅប្រមាណ%បាទទៅលើវេយ្យាករណ៍ប្រមាណ%ការសរសេរប្រមាណ%ការវិភាគប្រមាណ%អីចឹងទៅណា Okay next one motivate and focus student attention and effort អញ្ចឹងការធ្វើ test ការវិតម្លៃហ្នឹងក៏អាចជំរុញទឹកចិត្តដល់សិស្សបាទទាំងសិស្សខ្សោយនិងសិស្សខ្លាំងហើយនឹងមានការផ្ដោតទៅលើការយកចិត្តទុកដាក់របស់សិស្សនិងការខិតខំប្រឹងប្រែងណាបាទអញ្ចឹងលើកទឹកចិត្តហើយនឹងមានការបដោតអញ្ចឹងបើយើងបរៀនអត់មានដាក់តេស្តអត់មានសួរអត់មានឲ្យកូនសិស្សធ្វើបទបង្ហាញទេកូនសិស្សនឹង demotivate ដែរបាទពីព្រោះថាគាត់មកជា passive ហើយគាត់ចាំតែទទួលយល់តែពីគ្រូបញ្យល់ណាបាទគាត់អត់មានសកម្មភាពអត់មានអីធ្វើសោះដើម្បីឆ្លុះបញ្ចាំងពីការយល់របស់គាត់អញ្ចឹងគាត់នឹង demotivated provide practice applying knowledge and skill ផ្ដល់នូវការអនុវត្តបាទផ្ដល់នូវការអនុវត្តដោយ apply ទៅលើចំណេះដឹងនិងជំនាញរបស់គាត់បាទអញ្ចឹងគាត់ចេះបានអីខ្លះហើយនៅពេលដែលគាត់ទទួលបានចំណេះដឹងអញ្ចឹងតាមរយៈជំនាញអីខ្លះដែលគាត់ធ្វើបានអាចជាជំនាញសហការធ្វើការជាគូឬក៏ធ្វើការតែឯងឬក៏ social skill បាទ social skill ណាជំនាញនៃការទទួលយកទាំងចំណុចខ្លាំងនិងខ្សោយពីអ្នកដទៃតាមរយៈការពិភាក្សាបង្កើតទំនាក់ទំនងណា Okay next one provide a basis for evaluation for the purpose of ចឹងផ្ដល់ជាមូលដ្ឋានសម្រាប់ការវិតម្លៃទៅដល់គោលបំណងដូចជាបាទយើងដាក់ assessment ទៅគឺយើងចង់បង្កើន grade ឲ្យគាត់ grading ដាក់កម្រិតគាត់ A B C D promotion or graduation ឲ្យគាត់ឡើងថ្នាក់ឬក៏ធ្លាក់អាហ្នឹងអាស្រ័យទៅលើ assessment របស់យើងហ្នឹង program admission ឬក៏ selection ថាតើត្រូវឲ្យគាត់ជាប់មករៀនវគ្គសិក្សាហ្នឹងឬក៏អត់បើសិនបើយើងដាក់ test ទៅដើម្បីឲ្យគាត់ចូលរួមប្រកួតប្រជែងរៀនវគ្គសិក្សាមួយបាទហ្នឹងគេហៅថា program admission ឬក៏ selection ណា accountability បាទដើម្បីអីគេយើងផ្ដល់ការវិតម្លៃនឹងគោលបំណងដើម្បីមានការទទួលខុសត្រូវ ទាំងការបង្រៀនរបស់យើងហើយនិងលទ្ធផលរបស់កូនសិស្ស and next one gauge problem effectiveness ចឹងពាក្យ gauge problem gauge program effectiveness សំដៅទៅលើការផ្ដល់ប្រសិទ្ធភាពនៅក្នុងវគ្គសិក្សាដែលយើងធ្វើហ្នឹងណាបាទ Okay, here are the tables of assessment instrument, right? Pre-assessment và យើងមាន pre-assessment មាន formative ongoing និង summative ណាបាទអញ្ចឹងបើយើងនិយាយអំពី tool សម្រាប់ assessment គឺមាន 3 សំខាន់ហ្នឹងបាទដែលយើងហៅថា pre-assessment គឺយើងហៅថា diagnostic assessment ការវាយតម្លៃស្វែងរកនៅចំណុចខ្លាំងមុនស្អីមុននឹងយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមថ្នាក់រៀនណាហើយមួយទៀត formative assessment វាថាអំឡុងពេលដែលយើងបរៀនហ្នឹងបាទហើយ summative assessment ជា final product បាទជាលទ្ធផលចុងក្រោយធ្លាក់ជាប់ណាបាទចឹង pre assessment diagnostic នោះមាន pre test បាទ observation journal ឬក៏ log បាទ journal ឬក៏ log នោះមានន័យថាជា note ផ្ទាល់ខ្លួនរបស់យើងបាទតាមរយៈការសង្កេតមើលការសួរផ្ទាល់មាត់អីផ្សេងៗហ្នឹងណាបាទ discussion ជាការពិភាក្សាដើម្បីស្វែងរកនរណាដែលអាចឆ្លើយសំណួរពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹងខ្លឹមសារមេរៀនដែលយើងនឹងចាប់ផ្ដើមបង្រៀនបាទឬក៏ចងក្រងជាសំណួរដើម្បីដាក់ចោលសួរគាត់ឬក៏ធ្វើការសម្ភាសន៍ម្នាក់ម្ដងឬក៏មួយក្រុមម្ដងអាស្រ័យទៅតាមវិធីនៃការធ្វើរបស់យើងណាបាទហ្នឹង pre assessment មុនយើងចាប់ផ្ដើមដើម្បីអីគេចង់ដឹងពីភាពខ្លាំងភាពសោយរបស់កូនសិស្សដែលនឹងចូលរួមនៅក្នុងវគ្គសិក្សាមួយដែលយើងនឹងចាប់ផ្ដើមឬក៏មេរៀនមួយដែលយើងនឹងចាប់ផ្ដើម formative មានថាក្នុងអំឡុងពេលនៃការបរៀនរបស់យើងអាចធ្វើតេស្តទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងយើងអាចដាក់ជា quiz 15នាទីទៅយើងអាចធ្វើការពិភាក្សាថាតើគាត់យល់បានប៉ុណ្ណាបាទជា assignment ណាជា project បាទជាក្រុមបាទឬក៏ជា individual ទៅជា observation ដែលយើងសង្កេតមើលនៅក្នុងថ្នាក់រៀនហ្នឹងជា portfolio បាទអីគេ portfolio ជាការប្រមូលផ្ដុំនៅទិន្នន័យឬក៏ព័ត៌មានឬក៏ឯកសារផ្សេងកិច្ចការផ្សេងដែលកូនសិស្សធ្វើបានយើងប្រមូលចងក្រងទុកទៅដើម្បីយើងមើលទៅលើ progress របស់ពួកគាត់ជា journal log អីគេ journal log ជា record ផ្ទាល់ខ្លួនរបស់យើងដែលយើងធ្វើហ្នឹងបាទទៅលើសិស្សទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងណាstandardized test ជា test មួយដែលយើងធ្វើរួមសម្រាប់សិស្សទាំងអស់ហ្នឹងអត់មានសិស្សខ្សោយដាក់ test ផ្សេងសិស្សខ្លាំងដាក់ test ផ្សេងសិស្សមធ្យមដាក់ test ផ្សេងទេបាទយើងប្រើ test ស្របមួយបាទជារួមហើយ summative ហ្នឹងគឺប្រភេទ test កាលណាយើងអ្នកបរៀនយើងអ្នករៀបចំហើយ teacher made test បាទមិនឲ្យអ្នកផ្សេង test ទេឬក៏យើងកំណត់ប្រមូលជា portfolio ដែលគាត់ធ្វើបានមកហើយយើងដាក់បន្ទុកឲ្យគាត់បាទសរុបរួមបាទកិច្ចការមួយចំនួនដែលយើងដាក់ឲ្យគាត់ធ្វើនោះឲ្យគាត់ប្រមូលមកអាចជា project អាចជារូបភាពអាចជាទិន្នន័យផ្សេងនិយាយទៅរាល់ឯកសាររបស់ដែលពាក់ព័ន្ធទៅនឹង teaching and learning បាទរបស់គាត់នេះយើងប្រមូលមកហើយយើងធ្វើការវិតម្លៃចុងក្រោយបាទ project បាទយើងអាចដាក់ជា project ធំឲ្យគាត់ធ្វើទៅបាទតោះមកយើងវិតម្លៃទៅលើលទ្ធផលទៅលើគុណភាពនៃ project របស់ពួកគាត់ហ្នឹងហើយមួយទៀតយើងអាចដាក់ជា standardized test បាទ standardized test មាន test ដែលមានលក្ខណៈស្តង់ដារមួយតែ test មួយហ្នឹងប្រើបានគ្រប់គ្នាហើយអាចនឹងមានការចូលរួមពីប្រធានបច្ចេកទេសបាទអូខេតើនេះបាទហ្នឹង
តើលោកគ្រូខ្ញុំលើកតាមដែរ
អូខេ good ហើយអូខេចឹងអស់ហើយនេះជា reference ដែលខ្ញុំយកមកបាទមានសភៅដែលខ្ញុំបានតម្លាក់ជូនណាបាទ Richard Jackson Long Dictionary Language ហ្នឹងយើងអាចមើលតាមហ្នឹងទេ Okay, that's all from my presentation. Okay, thank you for your paying attention there.